Ladies and gentlemen, we are filming here on Monday, May 6th, but this is for the May 8th show here at the Fifth Dimension Radio studios here at Cuyahoga Falls, Ohio. It is a beautiful day. Weather has been awesome. I love this time of the year so much when we start consistently having good warm weather, and it's an awesome time to be a Northeast Ohio sports fan because our Cleveland Cavaliers just showed the world they do belong in the playoffs. They are here to compete, and they will be advancing to round 2 versus the Boston Celtics, kicking off on Tuesday night. So if you're listening to this, you know Game 1's result, but we are going to talk about it anyway. But yes, this is 10 Cent Beer Night, the sports show of FifthDimensionRadio.com every Wednesday, 7:30 to 8:30 p.m. Eastern Time, and replays on Saturday at noon. I'm Seth, and Bob will not be with us today because if you listened to the show before, last week's show I should say, you know that he's at Myrtle Beach at his golf outing. He has an annual golf outing every year where he goes to Myrtle Beach for about a week and golfs. Just golfs, just hangs out. It's vacation for him. He deserves it. The man works too hard for his age, so he's having a good time down there in South Carolina. I just hope it limits rain for him and he get as much golfing as possible. So you'll have to just listen and deal with me today. But yes, yours truly was at Game 7 in Cleveland. It would have been yesterday. Against the Orlando Magic. So this is the breakdown of what's happened since our last 10 Cent Beer Night. Cavaliers did win Game 5 in Cleveland and were up 3-2. I'll be honest with you, I was not happy about their performance in that game. That was the most rage I have felt from a playoff win specifically, in a long time. They just did not play well. They just, if they weren't playing Orlando, if they were playing anybody else in the NBA playoffs, they would have lost that game. And that's nothing against Orlando. Orlando, a little bit inexperienced is why they kind of lost this series in the first place, but a very good team. We'll get to that in a sec here. But just Game 5 just was not a good game. They just did not have it together. Jared Allen did not play. He did not play the last 3 games due to a rib injury, which apparently happened when one of the Magic players, it was one of the Wagner brothers there, not Franz, the other one. I would have to look it up here because I can't think of his name on top of my head. But I guess he elbowed him in the ribs intentionally, and that caused a serious bruise. And so he has not played since then. And so that caused a problem. Then Game 6 in Orlando, a lot of people, the story. Donovan Mitchell scored 50 points. The rest of the team scored 46. They did not win it. They were up by 5 going into the fourth quarter. They could not build off of that, and they just were missing shots. I guess the officiating was very questionable, too. And they've been complaining about that all over the playoffs. It's not just Cleveland fans. It's just been very much into question. About some of the calls. It's like, I get it, you're a human being, you're not going to get everything right, you're going to make mistakes, but there was just some blunders that were like, how does this happen by somebody who does X amount of games a year? It kind of made you wonder a bit. But real quick, I got Mortis Wagner is the one that hit Jared Allen. So that was the story there. But yeah, Cavs fell short there. So Game 7 happens. I'm there. They do go down at 8. To summarize, they go down at 18 at a time. And the vibe in the house was we weren't giving up, but we were very disappointed. We were like, if this is the way things are going to end, our coach will be fired, our superstar will talk about leaving, and we're going to have all this drama all summer long. We weren't looking forward to it. Then the comeback happens. They start playing better. They start hitting shots. Their defense really steps up and limits the Magic of what they can do. And lo and behold, they win the game, and they will advance to play the Boston Celtics in round 2. Games 1 is Tuesday. So, again, by the time you listen to this, you'll know the result. It's in Boston. Game 2 will be Thursday in Boston. Now, they're doing every other day now because NBA's trying to speed up the schedule a little bit, rightfully so. And then yours truly will be there for Game 3 against Boston in Cleveland on Saturday night. And then Game 4 will be Monday So about a week from today, when we're recording here, and then so the rest, we'll see how it plays out for as far as 5, 6, 7 if necessary. But it's every other day is pretty much what they're looking at here, and especially since the travel time is not much at all. It's Cleveland and Boston, so yeah, absolutely. This is going to be a very interesting series here. Going to the pros and cons. First of all, Boston, the number one team in the East, the best record in the league, actually. But they're not unbeatable, is what I'm going to say. If there's if I could list you the top 5 teams that match up very well against them, Cleveland's in that top 5. They really do. All the games are close. You had the one where Dean Wade kind of blew up and scored 30-some points, and they came back and beat Boston in that one. I think Boston won the series 2-1 in the regular season series there. It may have been 1-2. I think the Cavs pulled another upset with them. But what it is with Boston and Cleveland, what makes this matchup good is, first of all, they need Jared Allen healthy. And they need Evan Mobley to bring his A game, especially on offense. Defense, he's been one of the better players in the playoffs in defense. Offense has just not been rolling. It's just not been going at all. And that needs to stop. And I could say the same about Darius Garland. I mean, this is a guy, he made $31 million this year in the regular season, okay? The guy averaged 15 points and like 5 assists a game. That does not sound like a $31 million player in the playoffs. All right, I like the guy a lot. I really do. And there was a couple games he really did show up. Game 5 specifically, he was pretty solid. He actually dropped 17 points in that first quarter. But other than that, he needs to get it together. He needs to find a way. And I did see Donovan Mitchell amping him up, believing in him, pushing his teammate, and it worked. And he came in clutch in Game 7's fourth quarter. Okay. But they need to see more out of him. They really, really do. And there's a chance, too, that the Magic just matched up well against Garland. There's always that chance. Like, some teams match up well against other players. An example I had made to friends was Kevin Love. When we had him, in the late 2010s, Love played well against everybody in the playoffs except the Warriors. Now, he had his moments. Game 7 of 2016... he came in clutch, and he was huge. He didn't score a lot of points, but he made the small things that they needed at the time, he did. Okay? But, again, everybody else, he could drop 18 to 30 points in any playoff game. He could get you 10 to 15 rebounds, no problem. Against the Warriors, nothing. It was rough, but I mean, it happens sometimes. So I'm wondering maybe if that's the case for Garland there. But to help Mitchell out, he does need to step up there. All in all, though, it was a team effort, and that's how they won Game 7, and that was huge. By the way, that was the biggest Game 7 comeback in NBA history yesterday. That 18 points there. So nobody's ever overcome a bigger deficit than that. So that was impressive. On top of that, Donovan Mitchell scored the second most points in a Game 6 and 7 combined. That was 89 points. The most was Allen Iverson with 90 the year he took the 76ers to the NBA Finals. And he scored that in the Eastern Conference Finals. I want to get you the year of that real quick. But yeah, I mean, that was an impressive run by Mitchell. Nobody else has done that. He's been balling out. He is showing he wants to be here. Let's see, conference titles. 2001 is when Allen Iverson did that. So, I mean, nobody has come close until Mitchell has done that recently. But all in all, this team is getting ready for a very, very big matchup here. And this is a matchup, the winner of this matchup might win the Eastern Conference. That's how big this is right now. I was listening to some of the post-game last night from J.B. Bickerstaff, Donovan Mitchell, and Darius Garland, and they were saying all the right things. In Cleveland, one of the worst things we hate to hear is, oh, we're just happy to be here. Yep, we made it this far. That's cool. No, that's not how you win championships. They were doing the opposite last night. They said, look, we have a bigger match. We have to play better. They brought that up. They said, look, there was times against the Magic series we did not play up to par to where we think we should. We have to play better if we're going to beat Boston. They said, we got a lot of work to do. This is not good enough. And I loved hearing that. I love that. You have that attitude going in. That's already the best foot forward right there. So they're going into the Celtics series. They know it's going to be a tough one. Here's the pros and cons to the matchup real quick. I'm going to start with the cons. First of all, Boston has Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown, two of the best players in the league. Both players drafted by Boston. Both of them can be clutch, and both of them can catch fire on the court together. And that when that happens, it's dangerous. And I mean, they're hitting shots left and right and whatnot. They're a very well coached team. There's a lot of veteran presence on that team. Guys have won championships before. They were the number one in the East. They were at All NBA, and they play aggressive. They really do. They play everybody tough, and I mean, they're going to look into a much harder matchup than Orlando. But here's the pros here. First of all, I'm going to start off with, okay, they had the best record in the NBA, but the way they played this year, okay, first of all, they weren't the best in the East all year. I'm going to start with that. And, I mean, they earned it. They definitely did. But, last year when the Nuggets were the top team literally all year long, people said they're going to be a threat to win the finals. We knew it. We knew the West was in trouble, how well the Nuggets played, and we knew whoever was going to come on top of the East, which was the number 8 seed, the Heat at the time, we knew that it was going to be a brutally tough matchup. Now with the Celtics, it's a different attitude. We're like, they're going to be a threat to win the East. Not win the finals. They could be in the finals. They could win the finals, let's be honest. But they weren't like the Nuggets were last year. We were like, oh my gosh, somebody's got to figure out this is the team to beat. Like, this is it. This year, it's different. You have the Thunder and the Nuggets playing well. You have Minnesota now in the mix over in the West. And the East now, it's down to the final 4 teams. We'll talk about the other teams in a sec. But that includes Cleveland. This is anybody's game. Anybody could win the championship out of these last 8 teams here. There's not we could talk about the Nuggets and the Celtics and say, oh yeah, they're definitely a threat to win it, but they're just in the conversation as much as everybody else is right now. I will say that. And the big reason is more the pros. One, and I don't wish injuries on people, but Kristaps Porzingis, the biggest addition the Celtics added in last offseason. The center, the big man, originally drafted from the Mavericks, traded to the New York Knicks. Excuse me, the other way around. Drafted by the New York Knicks, traded to the Dallas Mavericks, and then later was eventually traded to the Washington Wizards out of everybody, okay? Now, this is a guy, he gets hurt often, but when he plays, he's one of the better big men in the league. This is a double-double machine that can put you 24, 27 points a game, can gobble up 12 to 16 rebounds a game, no problem. Double-doubles, he has a great outside shot. His inside game is good, but I wouldn't rate it in the top 10 amongst big men. I just want it. I mean, just the way he plays, he's got more of a better shot than he does inside game, but he's got a good inside game, And I bring it up because, the Celtics go out and they trade for him, okay? Great addition. It's worked out. He's hurt, and he might miss the whole series. Even if the series goes down to Game 7, he may not play. They're talking about he could be ready later in the Eastern Conference Finals, but everything could change by now, all right? Celtics are not a big team at all. And I mean at all. And with him out, you have Al Horford, the guy who's been there forever. I mean, he's been there for years. But he's not the player he once was either. If Jared Allen can come back with, alongside Evan Mobley, they have the big men to get it done. You have Tristan Thompson coming off the bench. You can outmatch him down low. And watch the highlight reel from the past 2 seasons of the Celtics versus the Cavaliers. Jason Tatum, their star player, rarely drives inside because he doesn't match up well with Mobley and Allen. Cavs can own the basket against this team. And that's the biggest pro out of everything here. Yeah, okay, you could bring up Donovan Mitchell. You can bring up some other things too. But that is going to be, I mean, they got to drive the ball inside because they're going to have it easier than they did against Orlando. I mean, I'm dead serious. I mean, that is one of their weaker spots there. I will say for the Celtics, another guy you got to watch out for is Drew Holiday, their point guard. They just signed an extension. He was traded from the Bucks to the Celtics after Damian Lillard was traded to the Milwaukee Bucks from the Portland Trail Blazers. So that left the opportunity for Drew Holiday to be traded. Actually, I think Holiday was traded to Portland in that deal, and then the Celtics came in. Yes, that's what exactly happened, because Portland's got a bunch of former Celtics players from that trade. Yeah, so that's how it happened. Holiday was traded in the Damian Lillard trade. It was sent to Portland, and immediately within 2 days, Portland sent him to Boston. And, I mean, that's a good seasoned point guard right there that's been there, won a championship for Milwaukee, and he could be a problem on both ends of the court there. But, I mean, this is not unrealistic to say the Cavs could win this. Now, my gut says Celtics in 6. The fan in me says that can be proven wrong. If I were to put a bet down, and I don't bet, I don't gamble. I have before. I've tried it. Not sports, but, the slot machines and whatnot. And I am not a good gambler, I would put down Celtics at 6. So with me being a bad gambler, that should be a little bit more encouraging to fellow Cavs fans, that I would put the Celtics down at 6 there. But okay, the Cavs have won this series against Orlando, right? And with that being said, where does it stand with JB and Donovan Mitchell? I will tell you, had they lost last night, JB would have been fired this morning, and Mitchell probably would have been trying to make decisions. Now they've won the first round in crazy fashion. JB's okay for now. Mitchell's okay for now. If they can at least get to games, the best worst case scenario I'm talking about for the team's future, if they can go into game 6 competitive, and even if they were to lose that, I think if they go at least 6 games in this series, again, playing well, I think both JB and Mitchell would be safe long-term in Cleveland. At least JB for now, another year, and Mitchell would be like, okay, I'm more open to extension talks. He's got to make some serious decisions this summer. It's very important. He's under contract for next year. He's got a player option the following year. But they can collect that player option and extend him from there. There's a way to do it. It's front office stuff. But we are going to be looking at a serious matchup here. I'm about out of time for segment 1. So we're going to take a quick break. When we come back, we're going to keep talking about NBA in the playoffs. There's a lot I didn't touch up on because there's a lot to talk about, honestly. But we'll talk. When we come back, we're going to talk more about not just the Cavaliers. What else is going around the NBA? Because we're officially underway in round 2 of this playoffs all around the NBA. So stay tuned. And welcome back here to 10 Cent Beer Night today, our second show in May. I'm Seth, and that's all you'll have today is just me blabbing about the NBA playoffs and whatnot. So we left off with the Cavaliers and the opposite Celtics matchup there. Really hope that Jared Allen recovers from his injury as soon as possible and can get out there. Was disappointed he didn't return, at least even for Game 7, so the injury must be a little more serious than I thought. But again, we've had for years, how many times has LeBron James or anybody like that taken an elbow somewhere and had bruises? And then we had, of course, the 2015 NBA Finals, if you can remember. Love is down, Irving's down, all these guys are down. There was guys that were literally juiced up on painkillers to just get through the game. So it's how bad you really want it. So I hope Jared Allen comes back. Not juiced up on painkillers per se, because that will mess with your performance. But it's just how bad you want it to stay out onto the court and make it happen there. But it really said a lot, them winning that series, especially Game 7 there. about this team and how they regrouped and got together and won the game, and they're going to need to take that into round 2. Around the rest of the NBA playoffs, real quick, the finals from the other series, OKC Thunder did sweep the New Orleans Pelicans, and they will be taken on in their game 1 on Tuesday, May 7th, same night as the Cavaliers. So by the time you hear the show, know the result. The Dallas Mavericks, who beat the Los Angeles Clippers in 6 games there. So that's going to be Thunder and Mavericks. That's going to be a fun series there by itself. The Minnesota Timberwolves swept the Phoenix Suns. And, man, there's a lot of questions left for the Phoenix Suns there. In case you don't know that situation, Phoenix Suns, 3 players are going to eat up $150 million of the cap next year. And then despite certain NBA rules regarding trading draft picks, the Phoenix Suns have a second-round pick, I think, this year. And then I think they got a protected second-round pick in 2030. That is it till 2031. That's it. That's all the draft picks they have as of now. And they're not in a good position now. Actually, there's rumors they might have to trade a superstar just to make things a little better, and I think they should, because this whole getting Kevin Durant to Phoenix thing has not worked out. Phoenix made the NBA Finals in 2021, okay? The 2021 Finals there. And it's been for the best and worst thing for them. Best thing as in they made the finals. It was a big deal. They lost in 6 games to Milwaukee. But the worst thing is they've been trying to find a way how to get back there, and they've made some bad moves since, and so they've been eliminated there in round 1. You have so Minnesota is going on and playing the Denver Nuggets, who beat the Los Angeles Lakers in 5. Los Angeles Lakers have fired Darvin Ham. They're talking to interviewing some different candidates for head coach, including JJ Redick, who used to play for the Orlando Magic, and he's right now a broadcaster for I think it's ABC, NBA, maybe TNT or something there. I don't remember, but it might be even ESPN. But he's a broadcaster right now, but he was a guy that used to play. They're saying he's a hot idea for a head coach there, so we'll see what happens. At the same time, LeBron James would not commit to the Los Angeles Lakers for next year, at least as of now. So you have that situation. Well, game 1 of the Minnesota Timberwolves versus Denver Nuggets series tipped off on Saturday, and the Timberwolves won. And so that was a heck of a start for the Timberwolves right now. And the game 2 is tonight while I'm broadcasting. Again, you'll know the result by the time you hear this, but it's on Monday. And then game 3 for that one will be on Friday. So that's weird. Like the Cavs and Celtics are about every other day, but not in this matchup. This is weird. Again, they're trying to angle it in a way for what's best for TV ratings and money and everything. So I guess pushing that game 3 till a much later time. They did start before everybody else did in their defense. Round 2, I should say. But I think the schedule will pick up to every other day after this coming Friday. Of course, we mentioned Boston Celtics. They beat the Miami Heat in 5 games and will now take on the Cleveland Cavaliers. That's the other thing, too. The Heat did not have Jimmy Butler the entire series, okay? And without Jimmy, they played the Celtics very, very tough. Even was a threat to turn the series around and upset it. It did not happen. But, I mean, they played them very, very well. That was without Jimmy Butler. So keep that in mind. As long as they can bring the intensity like Miami did, and they got a little more firepower than Miami does Cleveland, I'm talking about, it could get interesting. I'm just saying, Which, by the way, here's a funny, if you want to hear a funny, interesting fact when we're talking about superstars sitting out playoff series because of injuries. So Jimmy Butler just recently did that. Jared Allen missed 3 games. Zion Williamson missed the entire series. Okay, against not the Lakers, against the Oklahoma City Thunder. That's the number 1 overall pick of 2019. It would have been, yes. and he's been banged up all the time. He hasn't performed what people thought he would. Number 1 pick of 2019, remember that. Okay, Darius Garland's draft. All right. He is the only, because he didn't play, remember. He didn't play. He is the only member of that first round, maybe the draft, I think it's at least the first round, that has not seen a playoff game, has not performed in a playoff game. Isn't that like just insane? And the other thing with that statistic too, I'm thinking about, because Kevin Porter Jr., former Cavalier, was also a first round pick. He hasn't seen the playoff either. I think Dylan Windler saw. Yeah, he was the first. So I think it's out of the top 10. He hasn't seen a playoff game. Because it can't be the whole first round. Because again, Dylan Windler and Kevin Porter Jr. also have not seen action in the playoffs. But I think the top 10 picks, he's the only one that's never played a playoff game. That's just crazy to me. It really is. If you would have told me that back in 2019, I would have said, are you sure this guy's coming out on fire? Like, this guy is supposed to be the one of the biggest prospects to ever come out in the draft in a long time. Nope. It's just the way things have been. He has not been on court for a playoff game ever in his career to this point. So, and then going back to the rest of the East, in 6 games, the Indiana Pacers beat the number 6 seed Pacers, mind you, beat the number 3 seed Milwaukee Bucks. I'm a little not surprised about this, and I'm going to tell you why. But there's something about that 2021 NBA Finals match, because I told you about how bad the Suns have it. The Bucks, it's not much better. And they won that Finals, okay? They go and trade for Damian Lillard, which, by the way, I will defend that move. That was a brilliant move on that part. It was a necessary move. It was a move they needed to make, okay? But then they switched coaches mid-season when, by the way, that coach had won, I think, already 38 games to that point or something. Like, he had a winning record. They fired him in, like, January or February this year. And they brought in Doc Rivers. Doc Rivers, one of the most accomplished. He'll go to the Hall of Fame, but he is a little overrated. I'm sorry, he is. He won his finals by the Boston GM, brought in Ray Allen and Kevin Garnett. They could not win solely on Paul Pierce. Right move. They took advantage of that and eventually went to a couple NBA finals and won. I think they won 2, I think it was. I'm going by memory here. And so since then, he has not seen that success. He's been with the Clippers, with the Chris Paul, Blake Griffin era, which in his defense, there wasn't enough help there. All right? But they played amazing basketball season long when the playoffs came. I think they saw one Western Conference Finals appearance. I'm going by memory here. I could be off. I don't have it in front of me right now, but it just... Again, they never saw the finals with that team, okay? And they thought, oh, we have Doc Rivers, we have all this star power. For sure that's going to happen, right? No, it didn't happen. Rivers eventually moves on and goes to the Philadelphia 76ers and all the star power there, and they couldn't get it going, okay? And he eventually gets fired, and then later he gets picked up by the Bucks. You go through that many coaching changes. Mind you, he got rid of the assistant coaches and brought in his own when he got hired by the Bucks. You go through all that kind of changes. It's going to mess up the chemistry. It's going to mess up the balance of things. And yeah, you could have enough wins to go to the playoffs, but you're not going to perform up to the standard because you've made so many changes. It's about consistency and continuity. Well, that's the same word. Excuse me. Well, no. It could be used different terms, I guess. But it's about consistency and just having everybody on the same page at all times. That's what works in sports, not just NBA basketball. Now, NBA, it is more critical because similar to football, you're running plays together, you're on the field at the same time. It's not like baseball where when you're in the batter's box, you're responsible for your at-bat. Your teammate cannot help you with your at-bat. When you're on the field, you're responsible for the way you field the ball. You have to rely on each other for defense, but you individually do your part. It's not like basketball where, oh man, I'm having a bad shooting game, but I'm doing well on defense, I'm stealing, I'm getting good assists. Someone will continue to pass it to my teammates, and they can help bail us out with their scoring ability, and I can sit back this game until I can regroup and gather myself up, or in football, if you're having a bad receiving game, but you're having a good blocking game and you're a good distraction on the field with your route running to open up for other teammates, there's other way, it's a team sport where you have to work together to make it happen. There's differences here. In basketball, if you blow up the team at a certain time, let's go back to when the Cavs, I think this was near the end of LeBron era. I think it was 2008 when they traded half their roster at trade deadline for Delonte West, Wally Zerbiak, Ben Wallace, and Joe Smith. Okay, they did it at the perfect time. So by the time they were in the playoffs together, there was enough chemistry and just everybody was on the same page better than when they were traded for back in that February. Because it was a rocky start. Because again, you trade half the team. Basically, LeBron was dealing with, Damian Jones and Ilgauskas and other players at that time to work with that knew the playbook, that knew what they needed to do to win, while the others were adjusting to the team and how they did things. So it takes an adjustment, but the Bucks all year round were making certain changes, and then they had injuries. I think Giannis was banged up that entire series. That didn't help. So, I mean, that's what makes it kind of difficult there. That's why the Bucks are not advancing to round 2. The Pacers are a good team. I'm not taking away from them. They made a big move. They bought Siakam from Toronto Raptors. That was a beautiful move on their part. That was probably one of the best in-season trades of this year. But the way they did it and when they got him, they did it early. They did it way before the trade deadline. I think they did December or January. They made the trade, say, bring him in now, help him out, get him, installed into our system. And then by the time the playoffs roll, this will be a fabulous pickup. And it was. It was absolutely fantastic there. But yeah, so the Pacers will move on and they will play the New York Knicks, who beat the Philadelphia 76ers in 6 games. The New York Knicks playing very well right now, like they were at this time last year. This is going to be a good matchup here. And again, game 1, you'll know the result by the time you hear this. It is Monday. Today will be game 1, Knicks versus Pacers. That's going to be, I can see that going to 6 or 7 games there. The Philadelphia 76ers are one of the weirdest stories in the NBA. A very, very talented team. They got the right coach, Nick Nurse, the guy that won the 2019 NBA Finals with the Toronto Raptors. They looked way better than they did with Doc Rivers last year, and yet they get eliminated in the first round. To trust the process, the process needs to do better. I was talking to a friend about it yesterday about the 76ers. He hit the nail on the head. They made too many bad picks years ago, and then they made too many bad trades. There's rumors about them getting Jimmy Butler back. Yes, if you can remember, he was already on that team. They chose Tobias Harris over him. He got mad. He didn't stick around. They probably could have used him. So since Butler's been in Miami, he's been normal Jimmy Butler again. And, I mean, Miami has seen the finals twice since Jimmy Butler's been there. I mean, it's worked out. Okay, 76ers, I think they just need to find a way to bring in newer pieces. They don't have to bring in a third superstar per se next to Embiid and Maxey, but they got to bring in pieces that make sense, something fresh, something that just will work. Because they've brought in too many things that just will not work, and that's why they're at where they're at right now. So you have the Knicks and the Pacers here. So here are my real quick predictions here. Okay. Thunder and Mavericks, give me Thunder in 6. Okay, I think Mavericks need a little more. There was a very bad game that the Clippers had beat the Mavericks with, and that was because the only thing keeping the Mavericks there was Kyrie Irving. I think I just really like what the Thunder have, especially under the basket. I think they're going to beat the Mavericks there. So I'm going to go with the Thunder are going to reach their Western Conference Finals for the first time since I think it was 2016 or 17 there. Timberwolves versus Nuggets. Give me Nuggets in 7. I really like what the Timberwolves are doing. Anthony Edwards, I've been sold on him since day one. He is going to see an NBA Finals at least once in his career. I'm not sure if he's going to win it or not. We'll find out. But he is an incredible player. I do think they're good enough to force a Game 7. Right now they're up 1-0 in the series. But I just think the Nuggets have been there before. They won the championship last year. This is a team that gets refocused fast. This is a well-coached, this is just a great basketball team in general. And I think they're going to hang in there, and they're going to be the better team at the end of the day when it's said and done. But I do think this series is going to Game 7. So I do have Nuggets and Thunder in the Western Finals. I told you I have Celtics winning, but I'm cheering against them. Okay, we'll find out how that ends up. I'm serious when I say the Cavaliers have a shot. They really do. The Pacers and Knicks, I know Cleveland fans don't want to hear this. Give me Knicks in 7. I do think the Pacers are going to put up a great fight. Rick Carlisle, he's done very well in the playoffs when he's had good enough teams. Of course, he won the championship in 2011 with the Dallas Mavericks there. 2011? 2010. He won that one. No, they did win in 2011. No, it was 2010. Excuse me. Wow, I'm way off. Yeah, it was 2010 they won that one. So, yeah. I'm such a mess right now. But I do think they're going to match up very well against New York, especially. Again, I'm going to bring it under the basket because they're going to talk about Tyrese Halliburton and Brunson the whole series. But under the basket, there is going to be much battle under that basket. They matched up well, both together under there. So it'll be similar to what you saw with the Magic and the Cavaliers, where both teams are rebounding very well. That's what you're going to see there in this series. But I got the Knicks edging them out. I really do there. But so that's where we're at in the playoffs. So right now, go Cavs, hang in there, keep playing tough. Any adjustments need to make, please make it. And then, yeah, because I gotta wrap up segment 2 here. So yes, that's where we are. Yeah, it was 2011. Excuse me, I just looked it up. It was 2000. Yeah, 2010 was because they played the Heat. 2010, summer 2010. LeBron left for Miami, so that's how that went. And you're gonna hear a lot. I'm warning you, they're already talking off season. You're gonna hear a lot about the LeBron rumors, but thankfully the Cavaliers have won this first round, so we could push back the LeBron rumors on their end of things here, and just focus on Boston right now. But that's where we're at the NBA playoffs. 8 teams left, 4 on each side, and we should know in about a week and a half how things are going to shape up for the conference finals there. So looking very, very forward to that. I'm going to take a break. When I come back, we are going to talk about baseball. Guardians had a decent week last week, but they have an American League Central rival that is heating up and catching the eye of the league, and it could make things interesting. And plus, there was a blockbuster trade over the weekend, and it almost involved a Guardians rival. I'll talk about that and more coming up. Stay tuned. Welcome back to our last segment here on 10 Cent Beer Night. And appreciate anybody that listens via radio, via the Facebook page, the YouTube, everything. We really appreciate it, all the comments and shares we've been getting, and we really do. Trying to get the best quality sports analysis we can through the airwaves, where we're not being told what to do. So that's kind of just the general idea here. So let's talk some baseball here. I did dig deep into the NBA playoffs, given the circumstances that Cleveland's still in it and everything else going on there. But now we're going to talk a little bit of baseball. Guardians went 3-3 last week. They lost the series to Houston in Houston 1-2, and they won the series against the Angels in Cleveland 2-1. It was kind of an up and down week for them, because you had with Houston. you had they lost it in extra innings. They had a big lead and then they blew it there. They were able to win in extra innings in the 10th, the following game, and then they lost 8-2 there. Friday night they had they had Monday off, so this started all on Tuesday. So Friday night in Cleveland they lost 6-0 to the Angels. They won 7-1 the next game, and then 4-1 on Sunday. The game had just ended as the Cavs had won Game 7. So people coming in through Tower City there for Guards and Cavs were all smiles. They were all happy. It was a very electric atmosphere. I've been through it with the Cavs. And then I haven't been to really a Guardians game, but when they were the Indians and the Browns, when they've lost in that walk of shame. But when it's been the opposite, it is one of the greatest feelings of all time. I will tell you, I have, and I don't mean to come off, how should I say, weird here or anything about, but I think the Cavs Game 7 playoff win yesterday was the most satisfying Cleveland playoff win we have had since the Browns beat the Steelers in 2020. That's that playoff game, I should say. I mean, yeah, the other ones felt good, but this one just felt extra good given everything that happened. It was with everything on the line and them coming through was just a big deal there. But yeah, okay, so back to the Guardians. Interesting week this week. The Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. Yeah, they have games all week long. Starting tonight, they will kick off their first series against the Detroit Tigers, and this is because Detroit's played pretty well up to this point, and Detroit knows they want to knock Cleveland down a few pegs to shoot up there in the standings a little bit. So they have a 3-game series in Cleveland. Let me make sure it's in Cleveland so I can give you some credit. Yes, 3-game series in Cleveland there. And then they will play a 4-game series in Chicago against the White Sox. And everybody's beating up on the White Sox right now. So if Cleveland's smart, they will join. And they have already beat up on the White Sox before. But if they can keep that going, that would really, really help their division positioning right now in their positioning in the division, I should say. I worded that very poorly there, so my apologies there. So here is your standings update for Major League Baseball. As now in the American League Central, the Guardians are 2.5 games above the Twins and the Royals. 22-12 they are. And yes, by the way, I did say Twins, okay? Because the Twins had a 15-game win streak that got snapped on Sunday. Yes, so out of nowhere, let me see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Excuse me, might not have been 12. It's 13, excuse me, not 15. Close, though. 13-game win streak, okay? So when that started, they were 6-13. And they won 13 straight, and now they're in second place. They're at 19-14. Royals are 20-15, are in third, technically just right under the Twins there. About technically tied. I think they've played a little bit. They've played more games than the Twins have, but they've won one more too. And fourth are the Tigers at 18-16. So they're still hanging on there. Detroit's still in that conversation very much. So 4 games behind Cleveland, and the White Sox are 8-26, 14 games behind Cleveland. It has not been good. With the White Sox, it's been interesting. Some of the pitching's been great. Starting pitching, I should say. The bullpen, the batting's been very terrible, and it's really, really hurt them there. In the American League East, we have a new first place team. They've won 4 straight games, and they played very well. The Baltimore Orioles are 23-11. They're in first place there. The Yankees are 23-13, just hanging in there. Red Sox are 19-16. The Rays, who have played better of late. They're in the middle of a 3-game winning streak right now, 17-18, and then you got the Toronto Blue Jays at 16-19. And it's because Orioles overall have been playing well, but some of the pitching is to question. I would say more of the bullpen. Some of the starters have been fine. They've had some injuries. Yankees have been hanging in there. The pitching and hitting has been consistent of late. But, they just were outmatched a couple games. Red Sox, they have their days. They got some young prospect hitting in the lineup with Tyler O'Neill and a bunch of other guys that are really stepping up and really, really helping compete in these games there. And with the Rays, it's been better. Some of the starting pitching has not been up to par of what they had last year. Some of the hitting is getting better, but I mean, they're hanging in there. They really are. And the Blue Jays, it's been very, very interesting and inconsistent. I would say definitely their hitting is still more of a strong point, but still you have guys like Vladimir Guerrero Jr. that are not playing, putting up the numbers that you would think so at this point, but it is what it is. In the American League West, the Seattle Mariners are 19-15 right now. They've won 7 of their last 10. You have the Texas Rangers at 19-16. Max Scherzer making some strides there, and he will be back sooner than they thought. In third place, the Oakland Athletics at 17-18, 2.5 games out of first, and they have been playing awesome. I mean, I did not expect this team to come out the gate like they did. Okay, so they won, for example, all right, and I will mention they've played some bottom of the order teams, like they played the Orioles, and the Orioles are good. They won the series against the Orioles. I want to mention that, and they even the series against the Yankees. But this was a few weeks ago. But they won the series versus the Pirates, and they won the series versus the Marlins on Saturday, May 4th. They won 20-4. You heard that, 20-4, 6 home runs, 2 by Brent Booker. He was hitting 400 the past 2 weeks, I should say. He's hitting 256 all season long. He hit 2 home runs. He's been really beating the daylights of the ball. And then they brought up a rookie by the name of Brett Harris, okay? His first and second hit, both solo home runs. Now, I think maybe one was a 2-run, but still, he hit home runs on his first 2 hits. And they've been playing so much better of late. So they're in third place right now. The Astros are 12-22, and so are the Angels. So they're tied there for last. Both teams played Cleveland this past week, as I mentioned. So, but yeah, it's getting interesting in the American League there. You have the Twins heating up. You have the American East as close as it is. And then you have the A's becoming an early threat in the West. Again, it's a long season. Who knows how things are going to match up a little bit later. In the National League, probably the hottest team next to the Twins in the National League, the Philadelphia Phillies are first in the National League East. They're 24-11. They've won 15, I think, of their past 18 or something like that. It's been crazy. They've won 5 straight as of now. The Braves are 20-12, are in second. The Nationals, dealing with the injuries and some of the struggles they've had, are in third at 17-17. The Mets are 16-18. They're continuing to play a little bit better. Every week's been a little bit different. I would say a lot of times, I told you, like, the Guards went 3-3 this past week. That's the kind of weeks the Mets are seeing. Like, there's a couple they win really well. There's a couple they lose pretty bad, but they're hanging in there. And then you have the Marlins at 10-26. I'm going to bring up something the Marlins did this past weekend in a little bit. But yeah, Marlins, I mean, all the injuries and all the problems. Excuse me, it's been bad. In the National League Central, you have the Brewers and Cubs tied for first. Brewers have a little bit of a leg up because they have one less loss, but the Cubs have played 2 more games, and they have 1 more win and 1 more loss than the Brewers. So however that works out there. You have the Cincinnati Reds in third at 16-18. It's hanging in there, doing well. Pirates 16-19, again, similar to the Reds, just hanging in there. And the Cardinals at 15-19. So the National League Central's, just like the American League East, it's pretty close right now. It's anybody's game, and I would like to see that last the whole rest of the year. And I think Bob would too, for the sake of the Reds there. In the National League West, you have the LA Dodgers in first place at 23-13. If the Twins aren't the hottest team in baseball, the Phillies aren't, the Dodgers are. Okay, the hitting has been awesome. The pitching's received some serious injuries. Evan Phillips, their closer, was just put on the DL. They're hoping to get him back soon. They said it's not too serious, but he did need some time off it. Good news for the Dodgers: Ace Walker Buehler is making his debut tonight on Monday. So they thought he wouldn't be ready till probably mid this year, and he is back right now. He's done very well in his rehab starts. So all in all, it's been great for Walker Buehler and his rehab. He had Tommy John surgery early last year, so it's been an absolute journey for him to get back to this point. So wishing him the best there. Ohtani has been beating the daylights out of the ball. I mean, he has been very, very reliable with him, Mookie, Will Smith, and Freddie Freeman there. That hitters 1 to 4 has just been fantastic. It's been an absolute pitcher's nightmare. They swept the Braves over the weekend, to put it in perspective. And the Braves, how competitive they are, how good their pitching is, and even their hitting. I mean, there was a Friday night's game was an absolute battle for the Dodgers. They had to win in extras there, but yeah, or it was a walk off of some sort. But it was a great series, but Braves just did not play up to par what you thought they would. You thought Friday night's game would be the same result as Saturday and Sunday, and Saturday the Dodgers beat the daylights out of them, and then Sunday came and Dodgers took a lead and didn't turn back. So that's where the Dodgers are sitting right now. In second place, you have the San Diego Padres at 18 and 19. Okay. Padres made a blockbuster trade over the weekend. They acquired second baseman Luis Arias from the Miami Marlins. Luis is a 2-time batting champ, okay? Probably the best contact hitter in the game right now. All right, they traded him from the Marlins for a relief pitcher and 3 prospects, okay? Arias, in his first game as a Padre, went 4 for 6. He is the first Padre ever to get 4 hits in his Padres debut, and they won that game there. So with him there in the mix, that is a good pickup there for the Padres. Interesting enough, it came out this morning, okay? They traded him. The Marlins made that trade with the Padres. The Royals came close to making that trade happen. And what a threat in the American League Central for the Guardians would have been had the Royals got Luis Arias. I mean, I guess it came very close, but the Padres edged him out. So and that trade was made Friday night. That was announced. They had to pull Arias out before the game started to tell him, yeah, you can't be here. You got to head to San Diego. So he went from Oakland, because Marlins were in Oakland, to San Diego there, and he was able to play right away there. But and said goodbye to his Marlins teammates. They had a good ride with him there. Tied for third place, the Arizona Diamondbacks and the San Francisco Giants at 15 and 20 each, and then you have the Rockies are at 8 and 26 and in last place there. That is your updated standings there. So things are getting interesting there. I was brought up to ask about the Akron Rubber Ducks here, and I guess they've really, really been playing well of late here. Let me see. They've won, oh my gosh, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. They won their last 7 in April. And then for some reason it's not showing me the others there, but I mean, I think they've won 12 in a row. So I mean, they've been playing very well, so that'll be fun. They are at Bowie all week against I forget Bowie's team there, but yeah, they'll be back home next week against Altoona there. So if you want to see the Akron Rubber Ducks, they're red hot right now. They're playing very well. Be a lot of fun to watch there. At least one of the Guardians minor league teams is doing well up to this point. We only got a couple minutes. I also want to bring up real quick some Cleveland Browns news. There's not a ton. Duke Johnson, former running back, retired after 8 seasons. I was big on him when he came in. He was one of the first, when I started doing mock drafts and everything for the Browns, I do it predictions and preferences, what I predict they'll do and what I would prefer they do. He was one of my guys on my wish list in that third round, and when they picked him, I was ecstatic. I was jumping up and down the room at my friend's old apartment, very happy they picked him up. He was a good player for Cleveland there, and came up huge, at least a couple of those seasons that he did play. They did sign officially Brian Allen, center, that used to be with the Los Angeles Rams. He was the starting center for the Rams when they won the Super Bowl a couple years ago. And now he's going to be a backup for the Browns. So that's going to be Ethan Pochik's main backup pretty much. And you got Luke, I think it's Whipley. I'm going by memory here, from Ohio State. He will also be in the rotation too as part of a backup center and guard as far as that goes. But that's a good pick. I was concerned about the backup guard center position, because they had basically let's see, Luke Weipler, that's who was with Ohio State, the guy they drafted about a year ago. I was concerned about their depth at center, because they didn't really address pretty much everything but that. And then they go out and get this guy who was sitting there in free agency. And I mean, he's got experience, he's got success in the game. Not a bad pick about, no complaints here. The more depth, the better. Ethan Pochik plays most of his games, but in case he goes down, you still got somebody guarding for whoever's behind center. And I bring that up because I'm going to end on this note. This morning, Andrew Berry of the Cleveland Browns did come out and say they have high expectations for Deshaun Watson entering his third year with the team. He's been around long enough, he knows the playbook. They think this is time for him to show up. So it's show up or shut up time now for Deshaun Watson. Which I know you'll hear fans say up until the Browns season, well, it's about time, da-da-da, you'll hear all this. Look, he got suspended his first year, he got banged up his second year, there's no excuses for year 3. And he's got the talent. We saw it in a couple games. The talent is still there, but he needs to play a full season. He really does. Just get together. But I know Nick Chubb's ahead of schedule, so a lot of good things coming to the Browns. Minicamp is coming up, and I know they said Dorian Thompson-Robinson might be good, healthy enough to even start throwing the ball too. So guys are getting there. They're getting back in shape. They're getting back in rhythm. Browns minicamp is just about to happen. I think next week it is. Maybe if not this week. I kind of didn't look. I don't pay attention too much to little things like that, but I know it's coming because it's just camp. That's all it is. When training camp comes in, then we start talking. That'll be here before you know it too. So there you have it there. So I gotta wrap it up. I appreciate you guys listening. We'll have Bob back next week. We hope he gets back safely from his Myrtle Beach trip. That way we can talk about where the Cavs and Celtics are in round 2. I will be there for game 3, like I said, so I'll be cheering on the guys in person, and I'm looking very forward to that. We'll talk about where the Guardians are. We will also talk. I wanted to wait till Bob got here. The Akron Zips and Ohio State Buckeyes are killing it in the transfer portal for basketball. We will go in more depth about that next week and talk about it. But I want to wait till Bob got here because I know he's got some good input on Akron basketball. And looking forward to another great year with John Gross there. Again, that's not for a while. We're now in baseball season, and we just finished up the NFL draft, so we're at that point now. And the NBA playoffs, of course. And so we're looking forward to another fun late spring, early summer moment of basketball. But I will say women's basketball, WNBA, tips off next week. It'll be very interesting what Caitlin Clark in the Indiana Fever, how they respond to the league with her now in the mix. It's going to be a lot of fun. It really is. So I'm going to tune out. Enjoy the rest of our programming here at FifthDimensionRadio.com. And with all that being said, go Cavaliers!